This was one of the most chaotic 2 hours of racing I have ever witnessed. Stage 12 of the Tour de France from Rouen to Belleville-en-Beaujolais, a medium mountain stage. It was supposed to be a breakaway stage. Break goes. They've got 3 5K, 6% climbs at the end to deal with, and then a flat 20Ks at the end. It's a typical breakaway stage, but everyone wanted to be in the break from every team. So Wout van Aert, Koum, Pedersen early. We get to the first early climbs. X are launching. And watch here. When Jumbo go, Marc Soler and UAE go. So the break formation is not just the teams like Israel or Cofidis or X or trying to get and win the stage. It's the two top GC teams too are trying to get in the break and marking each other. And so this break formation took hours and hours. Some missed out. Alaphilippe, he did make it in the end, but at what cost? Same with Wout van Aert. He launched many times, even getting solo or in small groups, but he would never actually make the final breakaway. And this is the peloton. For reference, this is the peloton. That is not a full peloton. That is too small. And all of a sudden, we saw in the little kickers before, people were dropped, and there was a major split with Adam Yates off the back, Ben O'Connor, Mikel Landa, Kwiatkowski, Bookman, Sepp Kuss. Lots of people in that sort of 6th to 13th on GC were missing out, and so would Ineos pace the front with both Rodriguez and Pidcock there? They actually kept attacking. Pollitt was moving despite Hindley being isolated. We see that sort of come to fruition a bit later, and Vingegaard and Pogacar were going hammer and tongs. Particularly Vingegaard was jumping all about, and here Pidcock jumps. There's a group of 20 up the road. He's making his move. Hindley is isolated, and he jumps with Adam Yates, I think, also behind him. And Hindley was eating. He chose to put something back in his pocket. Adam Yates is back to his left. Good move from Pidcock and Ineos. It's the one time they did try. Rodriguez didn't jump, and he gets across very, very quickly, but that necessitates Hindley jumping. So you see Hindley's immediately on it, but Pollitt's in this group. So Hindley had Jungels behind, dropped, and Pollitt was still jumping in the break, and now Hindley's trying to shut this down himself. Luckily, this group was too big, it didn't go anywhere, and now Vingegaard tries to jump across to that group as well with Pogacar in the wheel. So it was all kicking off. Pollitt's still trying to go across, and you got Van Aert trying to go ahead with Vingegaard closing, moves himself on his own in this group of UAE, Pidcock, Hindley, Pogacar, and Vingegaard. Van Aert goes again. We're 1 hour into the stage. He's solo. He gets brought back into Marseille, pacing the split group back for Louis Meintjes on GC. Kelderman jumps again, and Movistar trying to get riders in. Schelmoser, he's one he tried so many times that eventually didn't make it. And here I think Vingegaard's was on the wrong end of a split, because Benoit's pacing him back to this group, Bilbao's there, and suddenly Adam Yates jumps, and Vingegaard's off to the races. And why is he reacting so heavily on Adam Yates, who's well behind him on GC, and also Kelderman's ahead? Is it that Vingegaard didn't want Yates ahead as a satellite rider? Because he's 6 on GC, so, Jayco or Ineos or other teams, or Bora even, will control him. And this is the quote-unquote peloton. It's like 4 riders as Vingegaard marks Yates again. Soler goes across to Kelderman, but he then attacks them after their caught. So that was a bit curious, because I thought he was just marking Jumbo moves. Here the break actually forms. We've been waiting 2 hours. Turns, goes with Tej Benoit, and Mads Pedersen bridges across on a descent. There's some intermediate sprint points. Winning the stage will be difficult for him. So we have our 3 go ahead. A chase group forms with Izagirre, Amador, and Jorgensen on a short descent. All 3 of them are absolutely outstanding descenders. So now we have 6 riders, and we have an actual gap of 20 seconds between all these groups, a real gap on the road. And then another bridge group comes with Sturven, Van der Poel, and Campenaerts. They get to the Amador, the elite descenders group. Here's our peloton of like 8 riders with Vingegaard, with Kelderman, Yates or Micah with Pogacar, and they're sort of like, all right, enough is enough. Now's the moment to jump. Pinot senses the moment, bridges the 13 seconds across, and we have our breakaway. It only took 2 hours of everybody absolutely brawling each other. Izagirre, Jorgensen, Campenaerts, Pedersen, Turns, Bergerdo, Van der Poel, Guerrero, Benoit, and Thibaut Pinot. I don't have enough space to put all the little arrows in there. Cofidis want another, though, so they bridge across. Johannesson, no, not Johannesson, he comes across with Guillaume Martin, so they have 2 in the group, and it all calms down. Laporte goes on the front. Gap goes to 340. Well, I thought Pogacar might even chase the breakaway because it was so deep into the stage for the bonus seconds. Eventually, AG2R start pacing. You think, well, why are they pacing? Why on earth would they pace? Soler's probably asking the same question. And it's because they got Felix Gall, he's like 15th on GC, and the group split behind, you can see, is on 3.5 minutes behind them. So they wanted to keep Landa, Koos, Bookman, all those guys in this group behind so that Gall could move up on GC. It didn't work, and forget about GC for the rest of the stage. First of the 3 climbs. The breakaway, pretty cagey. No one dancing out, no one going full gas. So Van der Poel anticipates on the descent with Amador, knowing that on the last climb, Rosier, he'd probably get dropped. Great move from him, because they dilly-dally behind. They give him 20 seconds. It even goes to 30 seconds at one point with Guerrero and Movistar maybe trying to work over Cofidis. No one wants to take the responsibility, and Van der Poel's pushing it on the descent. He's taking risks, and the group behind, he's unlucky that Jorgensen, again, he pushes really hard on the descent and brings Thibaut Pinot with him. And he's, a great descender and also a bit of a truck as well, so he can really mow into this gap, and he's a better climber than Van der Poel. They get across. No attack. Now, where's the chase group behind? They close it down. The 2 Cofidis guys lent on, and they have to drop Van der Poel. You can't go into a flat final 20Ks with this man. They know that. Izagirre steps on it. The Basque rider, Cofidis, already have a victory in this tour. They're riding high, and I think Van der Poel makes a big mistake here. He follows Izagirre and absolutely parks himself when all the other climbers actually were much, much more conservative, because Izagirre just had their measure, taking the gap out to 20 seconds. Eventually, MVDP gets dropped by everybody else. I mean, maybe he thought, if you don't go with Izagirre here, you don't win the stage at all, and he was right, because he gets over the top. All the Basques are noted for their descending, and he is one of them, absolutely outstanding downhill. And the Group 2 dysfunction begins in earnest. Chris Nealons wasn't a beneficiary of that on stage 10, but today it was in full effect, with Guillaume Martin also disrupting things for his teammate ahead. And so it was all looking good for Jon Izagirre. He's already won a stage in the Tour. Jorgensen actually breaks away with Bergerdo to take 2nd and 3rd. And when you see them all attacking each other, it can only be one result. Izagirre wins. Perfect from Cofidis. What a Tour de France from them. And what a crazy stage. I mean, after all that, we get the breakaway we expected. But man, it took a while to get there. Izagirre winning the stage ahead of Bergerdo, Jorgensen, Benoit, then Johannesson, Pinot, Martin, Turns, Guerrero, and Campenaerts rounding out the top 10. Pinot jumps into the top 10 on GC, narrowly ahead of Koos. That's all the changes. I'll see you at the recap of Grand Colombier's mountaintop finish tomorrow. Until then, ciao.